For low temp direct cooks, I set my kettle up a little differently than most. What most people will do is take a full chimney of hot coal and dump them in, knock them down, spread them around, and then they'll throw the lid on and wait for the temperature to drop. I don't like doing that. I use a different method. Okay, what I do instead of dumping a full chimney of hot coal into the kettle is only dump half the chimney in, so half of it's unlit. Then I fire up the other half, and I'll take and I'll spread them out over top of the unlit coal. I like using this method for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you dump a full chimney of hot coal into the kettle, depending on the size of your chimney, you're looking at 500, 6 degree, or 5 to 600 degree cook if that's what you wanted. So number one is going to take a while for that temp to drop. Using this method here, you find the kettle comes to temp a lot faster. And number two, when the coal's already hot, it's already partly spent, which means your cook time is going to be shortened. But depending on what you're cooking, if you need some good cook time out of that, you're going to end up running out of heat. And it also, that by placing the coal in there, a bed of unlit coal, that acts as two purposes. Not only does it increase your cook time, but it also acts as a fuel source, or I'm sorry, a heat source. So if you want to finish off your cook indirect and you need some good heat out of there, which is what I like to do a lot of times, is I'll partly cook over the coal and then I'll finish off indirect. If you want to knock that temperature up to 3 1/4, 350, if that coal's already pretty well spent, you'll find you won't get that temperature out of there. By using this method, all you got to do is open up the vents, or just take the lid off altogether and let it sit for a while, and hot coal on top end up getting that unlit coal underneath good and hot. Next thing you know, you have a nice hot kettle, and you can get your 3 1/4 to 350 degrees to finish off your cook. And what I'll use a setup like this for are cooks like chicken leg quarters. I like to cook them direct over low heat for sometimes the whole cook, but most times I'll cook them about halfway and baste them as I'm cooking them, then pull them in direct to finish them off. Or for boneless skinless chicken breast or pork chops, I like to marinate them over low fire, and then either cook them the whole way through, or pull them indirect if I want, and then I'll have enough heat in there to knock the temperature up if I want. I also use it for burgers and dogs, and a lot of times I'll cook burgers and dogs frozen. And this setup's nice because I can set the burgers and dogs indirect, let them fall, and then push them over onto the hot coal. Now, for a cook like that for burgers and dogs, all you really need is maybe one chimney. Just dump half in, and the other half hot coal, and that's all the heat you need if you're just going to do one batch. But if you're going to do more than that, or like I said, for chicken, which takes a while, then you got to add more coal in there because that extends your cook time. And make sure you have plenty of heat. And here's the setup. I just spread the hot coal over top of the unlit coal. I have pretty many unlit coal in there because I'm going to be doing semi-frozen boneless skinless chicken breast, so I'm going to need some heat for a while. I have to slow cook them a little bit, get them to thaw out. All I do now is throw the grating the lid on and close both vents and give it about 15 minutes. Let the grill come to temp and clean the grates, throw the meat on. I don't know how much of the cook I'll be able to show you, if any, because I'm losing daylight, but then my videos are mostly about the setup for the cook and not the cook itself. Okay, the lid's been on for 10 minutes. I'm sitting about 275. I forgot to mention that the temp that you want is, for a low temp direct cook, is anywhere between 2 1/4 to 275. You really don't want much more than that. And the temp that you get depends on how many hot coal you start your cook off with. So the less hot coal you have, the more sparsely they're spread around, the lower your temp will be, and the more you have and the closer together they are, the higher temp you'll have. Okay, right now I'm sitting at 275, and after I put the lid on, the kettle kind of climbed to that temp maybe a little bit more, and it's dropping a little bit, and it'll get down around 250 till I'm ready to start cooking. But I wanted to mention that because There's times that the temp will climb up instead of dropping down. So if you have less coal in there, you'll find that you might have to open your vents a little bit to get your temp up. So again, that depends on how many hot coal you start to cook off with. But now if I would have dumped a full chimney of hot coal in here, this kettle would still be sitting about 400 degrees. And I'll be waiting a good while for that temp to drop down to about 250 where I want it. Now, if you're curious how the chicken come out, it come out great. Now, these things are some pretty big breasts. There's one underneath that's probably about 1.25 pounds, maybe even 1.5 pounds. Pretty big, and they were about 2/3, maybe 3/4 frozen. So I plan to cook out accordingly and slow cooked them for 45 minutes direct, basted them along the way. Then I pulled them indirect, and first one I pulled off probably about 45 minutes later, so about an hour and a half into the cook, and started pulling them off one by one as they were done. But they come out great, as you can see. Well, this camera doesn't do well in the low light, but they got a nice little bit of char on them. They picked up the nice charcoal char into the taste, and they did not burn. And when I stuck the probe in, I could tell that they were still tender. So, and I pulled them off about 167 degrees. Now I finished them off indirect at about probably about 335. I was shooting for 3.25 to finish them off, so I was real close to my targeted temp. They come out really good. So, for a little bit of practice using this method, you'll be able to cook whatever you want direct and get it to come out just the way that you want, just like these did. Look at the smoke coming out of that kettle grill. That's what flavors your chicken. That's what grilling with charcoal is all about. That flavor you can't get from a gas grill or a electric grill, even with using wood chips. Now I'm going to go open up the top vent. I mean, this is with both vents closed. I'm going to open up that top vent and show you the kind of smoke coming out of this thing. Look at that. That's what flavors your chicken. You want barbecue chicken. You want charcoal smoked barbecue chicken. This is how you get it.